More coming up.
Hurricane Milton expected to make landfall tonight. More on my full weather forecast.
Early voting has started in New Mexico. Find out all this and more right now.
This is News 3 New Mexico, your local source for news, sports, and first weather.
Good evening and welcome to News 3 New Mexico. I'm Jonathan Giese.
And I'm Corbin Shaner. Thank you so much for watching. The mother of a baby found dead in Eddy County last month has confessed to accidentally smothering and then burying the child. That's according to a report from the Eddy County Sheriff's Office, acting on a tip from local police investigators. Exhumed the infant's remains on September 7th in a remote area. The report said the baby's 25-year-old mother and 31-year-old boyfriend admitted burying the body about a year ago. The mother said she accidentally smothered the infant when she fell asleep on top of the baby in the car she and her boyfriend were living in. No charges have been filed, but the police report did indicate a charge of neglect, abuse of a child resulting in death was being considered.
The Department of the Air Force has awarded a contract of nearly $150,000 to sample soil that may contain chemical substances, including PFAS known as per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances. The testing will be done below a fire training pond as part of an ongoing response to a release of about 7,600 gallons of water containing the substances into the lined pond in July. The newly contracted sampling team is expected to begin extracting samples below the released location within the coming week. Data gathered from the samples will provide officials with information needed to shape future actions.
Eastern New Mexico University announced Tuesday, October 7th they are partnering with Timely Care, higher education's most trusted virtual health and well-being provider, to offer students free and equitable access to mental health support and medical care. This partnership is an extension of campus counseling center resources and provides students with 24/7 health care to improve student well-being, engagement, and retention. Through Timely Care on their phone or other devices, ENW students can get on-demand care, student success coaching, peer support, and more. For more information about the new collaboration, you can visit enmu.edu/timelycare.
Pop on by down the Portales High School practice field tomorrow night at 6 p.m. to attend a public reading of the kids' book Marshmallow Cowboy by author Matt Rush. Matt Rush, who grew up and graduated in Dora, New Mexico, is putting on a new reading sponsored by the Portales International Etrusia Club, where he, along with his illustrator, will be reading his book Marshmallow Cowboy and his unreleased book entitled S'more Cowboy. When asked about his books, Mr. Rush stated that they are filled with helpful and inspirational leadership qualities that can inspire the lives of the kiddos and touch the hearts of adults. And you know, I want to talk about that hurricane because I need to know what's happening.
I feel so bad for Florida right now.
It's absolutely horrible out there. There's so much rain and so much damage. And we're seeing that happen down here in the Florida area with all of this just precipitation and wind. As well as in New Mexico, we are also seeing precipitation. There's just rain all across the states and as well as a bit of snow. And because of this, I would like to talk about some safety tips. Do not evacuate if you do not have the proper resources such as gas and money. You will not make it out. Waterproof tapes such as flex tape can help you if placed on doors and windows to keep the water out. As well as do not swim in the floodwaters. They could have electricity in them from down power lines. Be safe and pray for those that are in need currently. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Lainey. October is Community Health Workers Month, and Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham issued a proclamation in recognition of their public service in the state. On October 29th and 30th, New Mexico's community health workers will come together for 2 days of learning, training, and building a supportive CHW community at their 3rd annual conference. The theme of this year's conference is CHW/RS Changing the Landscape of New Mexico, and it will take place at Santa Ana Pueblo. This year, the New Mexico Medicaid reimbursement model was approved by the Centers for Medicaid Services. This model incorporates a standing provision allowing CHWS and CHRS to bill Medicaid for their services. This allows communities in the state increased access to these healthcare providers for services like health education, health navigation, and clinical support.
The New Mexico Department of Health has confirmed the first positive cases of seasonal flu in the state, with the department reporting elevated numbers of flu cases in northwest New Mexico. Health experts say that now is a good time to get your flu vaccination before flu activity starts statewide. The NM Department of Health recommends flu vaccinations for everyone 6 months of age and older each year. With vaccinations available now through May, The 2024 to 2025 season flu shots include vaccines designated to protect against 3 different influenza viruses. Getting the flu vaccination is particularly important for people in high-risk groups, including the elderly and children younger than 5 years old. October 6th through the 12th is Fire Prevention Week, and this year the National Fire Protection Association's campaign is focusing on smoke alarms and how to make them work for you as they strive to educate everyone about the importance of having working smoke alarms in the home. The 3 key focuses are to install, test, and replace every 10 years to make sure they are functioning in shape. For more information and to listen to a free webinar, you can visit www.nfpa.org/events/Fire Prevention Week.
Early voting in New Mexico officially started yesterday. Roosevelt County has 2 early voting locations, including the county clerk's office and the courthouse at 109 West 1st Street in Portales. And starting October 19th, the Jake Lopez Community Center at 705 East Lime Street in Portales. The county clerk's office is open Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Roosevelt County Clerk Mandy Park told News 3, quote, "It's going well. We've had 156 early in-person voters on the first day before 2 o'clock. I hope this is an indicator of the turnout of this election. I kind of feel like voters have already made up their minds," end quote. For more information, please visit www.rooseveltcounty.com/county-clerk/.
The Portales Fun Center has made the decision to permanently close its doors this past Sunday, October 6th. In a post made on the company's Facebook page, the post discusses briefly about the hard times the company had been having through the growing and ever-changing economy, and the hard choice it had to make to close its doors for good. They thank the community of Portales for the opportunity and the fun it had to offer, and they look forward to new adventures for us all. And coming up after the break, Lainey will have her full weather report for you.
But first, here's a look at today's financial market.
Tell you about the weather. We talked about Hurricane Milton trying to touch down in Florida currently. It is expected to hit tonight, currently at a Category 3 hurricane, but expected to jump up to a 4 or even a 5 whenever it does make landfall. Be safe out there and stay out of the water. On our satellite radar today, New Mexico itself is facing a bit of precipitation, some rain coming in the northern and western parts of the state, but sadly, none over here in the eastern areas. Our highs today, well, the current temperatures actually, we're going to see 83 in Farmington, 79 in Gallup, and 81 in Clayton, with Portales resting at an easy 90 and Roswell at a 93. The lows for tonight, looking at 40s, 50s, and 30s, with Gallup at a 37 and Farmington at a 44. Portales at 56, Roswell at 57, and Clovis at a 54 as well. The highs for tomorrow are at 84 in Farmington, 82 in Gallup, 88 in Socorro, with Portales at 91 and Roswell at 93. Santa Rosa at a nice 89. For our 7-day forecast, we're looking at Roswell with the 90s for the rest of this week and going into the weekend. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday going into the 80s with the lows in the 50s and a little bit of cloudiness on Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, as well as Wednesday. Carlsbad in the 90s as well and going into the 80s for next week with a little bit of cloudiness on Sunday and Wednesday with their lows in the 50s and a low of 50 on Tuesday night. Tucumcari starting off in the 80s and going down into the 70s, going down into the 50s and 40s for the night. Portales, we are going into the 90s on Thursday and Friday with sunny skies, a 91 and 92. Saturday looking at 93, and then Sunday it suddenly drops off into that cool fall weather with some cloudiness coming in and staying throughout the rest of the week. We'll be going into our fall weather finally in Portales, going into 85, and finally, my favorite, the 80s on Tuesday and Wednesday. The lows are looking at 50s with 54, 55, 58, 52, 50, and 46 on Tuesday night. I love this weather that we're having.
Yeah, me too.
I am looking forward to the 70s.
The 70s. I love fall.
Yeah, me too.
Cool weather, the beautiful weather. But I do want to talk about Hurricane Milton a little bit.
I feel so bad for Florida. They just went through a hurricane. Now they're going through another one.
Yes, and we have more on that actually later when we were coming up.
We
We have more information that we're going to get out talking about later in this right now. But
I would like to mention that there is a possible third hurricane attempting to build behind the Hurricane Milton that is going to make landfall tonight, as experts think. So do be aware of that. Stay safe. As I mentioned in the safety tips, we want to stay out of those floodwaters and keep yourself inside.
that's right. And we'll be right back after this break with more news. Welcome back to News 3 New Mexico. The Eastern New Mexico University men's basketball team has undergone some big changes since their Lone Star Conference victory last year. News 3 New Mexico, Hannah Knight has more.
Go Texas for the Lone Star Conference Championship last year. But with former head coach Brent Owen taking his talent to Lenore-Rhine University, Davin Vo has taken the mantle, and he's ready to give the Greyhounds a fantastic 2024 season.
We've got two experienced guys that won the Lone Star tournament at the 4 and 5, and Jose Murillo and Mario Whitley. Both those guys are all conference type players. I expect bigger years out of them. Rio's going to be a senior, and Jose is going to be a junior. And that leadership on the court with that experience is really going to propel us. We've got good players that we brought in. We've got a junior college national champion in Cooper Jackson. He's a 6'1" point guard from Lawrence, Kansas. Two-time All-Jayhawk Defensive Player of the Year. He's an absolute terror on the defensive end, and that's what we want our identity to be. Another of the guys that we had recruited, a transfer from Division I Little Rock, Arkansas, is Cougar Downing. He's a guy that scored 6 points a game last year for the Trojans. And prior to that, from Barton Community College, he averaged about 16, 17 points a game. He's a big-time shooter.
With 12 new recruits, the men's basketball team will need to train and build team rapport before the start of the season. As he builds this team, Vo has a few things to say about what you can expect from the Greyhounds this year.
Oh, they've got an exciting brand of basketball that reflects what this town's about. Blue collar, tough work ethic. You're going to have 5 guys on the floor that are going to hustle, get all over the ground, and be tough and be gritty. And that's what we want to bring this program back to. We want to make sure that's our foundation and that's how we're going to move forward. I can't guarantee you we're going to score 100 points as many times as last year's team did, but I can guarantee you that we're going to be really tough on the defensive end, and we're going to represent Eastern New Mexico in the right way.
If you want to see how the Greyhounds perform, you can catch the next home men's basketball game on November 14th at noon. For News 3 New Mexico, I'm Hannah Knight.
Thanks, Hannah. It looks like Greyhound fans are going to have a lot to look forward to this spring.
Eastern New Mexico University in Portales is offering a creative opportunity for cosplay enthusiasts. On October 11th from 4 to 7 p.m., the University Theater building will host a free workshop focused on the basics of sewing for cosplay participants. We'll learn essential skills including hand and machine sewing and how to read commercial patterns. Sample fabric will be provided, but attendees are welcome to bring their own materials. Whether you are a beginner or looking to refine your skills, this workshop promises to be both fun and informative. Hurricane Milton is a massive Category 5 storm is making its final march toward Florida's central Gulf Coast.
Over 20 million people across the state are under hurricane and tropical storm alerts as officials warn those still around to get out now. Ivan Rodriguez is in Tampa as final preparations are wrapping up.
We're beginning to feel some of those heavier winds and also stronger rain from the outer bands of Hurricane Milton. We're now learning that the path of the storm has shifted slightly south, meaning landfall could be either near or just south of Sarasota, according to the National Hurricane Center. But even at this point, they say it's not possible to predict exactly where that landfall will be.
I'm begging you, especially if you are in an A zone, you need to get out, and you need to get out now.
Dire warnings from officials to get out before it's too late as Hurricane Milton takes aim at Florida.
Imagine that sickening feeling that I can't even think about when you figure it out, like, hey, I shouldn't be here. Hey, I need help, and help's not coming.
The monster storm is rapidly expanding, the impact expected to be catastrophic.
While there is the hope that it will weaken more before landfall, there is high confidence that this hurricane is going to pack a major punch and do an awful lot of damage.
The storm is one of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes ever recorded, with much of Florida's Gulf Coast at significant risk of hurricane-force winds, heavy rain, and deadly storm surge. Governor Ron DeSantis says the state is ready to respond.
This is the largest Florida National Guard search and rescue mobilization in the entire history of the state of Florida.
As those in the storm's path brace for disaster, DeSantis offering a message of hope.
We're facing this with the seriousness it deserves, but also with the determination that we will get through this.
We're also learning that more than 10,000 people are staying in shelters in Hillsborough County, thousands of others staying in other shelters across Florida's counties. More than 12 million people are currently under tornado watches across central and also in southern Florida. We're also expecting another press conferences throughout the day here as we get closer to landfall for Milton. In Tampa, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
The hurricane is expected to make landfall this evening and persist through Florida until Thursday. Our heart goes out to all of Florida and all of those affected for a swift recovery.
Coming up after the break, KJ Ford will have his full sports report for you, so stay tuned.
And I hear that there's high.
Ford, and let's take a dive into the sports world. Coming off of a bye week, the ENMU Greyhound football team hosted top 10 Central Washington for their homecoming game. This past Saturday, the Greyhounds got off to a very hot start. They opened the game with a very successful drive that ended with a touchdown to put the Hounds up 7-0. The defense was able to force Central Washington to punt the ball on the following possession, but unfortunately, the Hounds were not able to take advantage of the opportunity. The Wildcats forced a quick 3-and-out, and when they got the ball, they never looked back. From this point forward, Central Washington was able to control the game and came out with a 44-28 victory. The Hounds are off to an 0-3 start in the Lone Star Conference. They will have a big opportunity to pick up that first conference win this Saturday when they take on Western Oregon in Monmouth, Oregon at 1:05 p.m. Out in Lubbock, the Texas Tech Red Raiders remain unbeaten in the Big 12 Conference. Last week, the Raiders were able to beat Arizona 28-22 as they were led by running back Taj Brooks' 3 rushing touchdowns. The Red Raiders are sitting at the top of the Big 12 as they head into their bye week with a 3-0 conference record. They will take on a struggling Baylor team on the 19th of October as they look to remain undefeated in the Big 12. Last week, the Portales Rams were able to pick up a very dominating 21-6 win over the Silver Fighting Colts. The Rams got off to a 14-0 start and held on to the momentum for the rest of the game. The Rams will host St. Pius this Friday at 7 p.m. Lovington and Mayfield faced off this past Saturday in a very high-scoring, electric football game. 2 big-time turnovers allowed the Mayfield Trojans to successfully pull off the upset with a 50-49 victory over the Wildcats. Lovington heads into their bye week with a 5-2 record. In the NFL, we got to see a very highly anticipated matchup between the New Orleans Saints and the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs were able to completely shut down the New Orleans Saints run game. One of this year's top running backs in the NFL, Alvin Kamara, was held to a whopping 26 yards on 11 carries. Big performances from returning veterans Kareem Hunt and Juju Smith-Schuster helped lift the Chiefs over the Saints with a comfortable 26-13 win. Hunt finished with 27 carries for 102 rushing yards and a touchdown, while Juju had 7 catches for 130 receiving yards. Both players had been signed mid-season to cover for the growing injury list Kansas City is dealing with. Tomorrow, the Thursday Night Football crew will host a good old-time NFC West rivalry game between the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers at 6:15 p.m. in Seattle. The WNBA Finals matchup is officially set. The top 2 teams in the WNBA's regular season already played for one title this year, when the Minnesota Lynx beat the New York Liberty in the Commissioner's Cup in June. Now, they meet in the best-of-5 WNBA Finals that start in the Big Apple on Thursday at 6 p.m. The Liberty have 2 former MVPs in Breonna Stewart and Jonquel Jones. The Lynx have this season's MVP runner-up in Nafisha Collier, who has averaged 27.1 points and 9.6 rebounds in Minnesota's 7 playoff games. Will the Liberty be able to secure their first title in franchise history, or will the Lynx return to the top of the league? This final series should be extremely enjoyable to watch as 2 teams battle for the trophy. That's all the sports I have for you tonight, but we'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back. Hey, Lainey, can we get one more look at that weather?
Of course we can. Today we're going to be talking about Portales. Portales is currently at 91 for today's high with clear and sunny skies. Thursday is going to be at a 92 for the high with, as well, clear and sunny skies. And Friday, guess what? Clear and sunny skies at a high of 93.
All right. Well, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, me
Beautiful
too.
weather. I'm excited.
And we'll be back on Friday. Thank you.